Hello everyone, this is Jasmine, and here is my presentation for our final paper for HDL 655. So I decided to make my topic about empathy. Empathy was something that I felt like I related to the most and was very interested in during our course readings, and I really want to dive deeper into it. One, so I can learn how I can utilize it in my future career, but also how I am able to utilize it in my current career as a teacher. And I was able to learn a lot about it, and I am excited to share my findings. Alrighty, so here we go. So it's more than just using our feelings. I think probably more than likely, many of us, when we think of empathy, we think of just feelings, being able to empathize with other people. Or a lot of times people confuse it with sympathy, and there's a big difference. Here are three definitions that really stuck out to me. There's several ways we can define empathy, but these are three that I really like. So first, we can see that it is the ability to have insight or recognize the emotions of others. So Albert said in his readings, there is a deeper or a greater depth to social intelligence, and that includes empathy and being able to not only know more about people or know how to interact with people, but knowing how to connect with them, creating rapport. And in order to create rapport and connect with other people, you have to have empathy, and that plays into a part of our social intelligence. So it's taking the step out of just knowing how we feel, now taking that mindset and putting it on knowing and understanding the emotions of other people. The next definition we can say that empathy is to identify with another person and then appreciate his or her feelings. So not only recognizing their emotions and their feelings, but now appreciating, saying, you know what, I respect your feelings. I respect how you're thinking. I respect how you feel, and I'm going to take it into consideration. And I'm going to use that as a way to connect with you. The third way is the definition that really stuck out to me was the ability to realize and assess how another person feels in their shoes. So how they feel in their shoes, in their situation, rather than how we would feel in their shoes. So a lot of times when we think of empathy, we try to say, how would I feel if I was in their position? But you really can't say that. It's really taking yourself out of it and really putting the spotlight on them and understanding how they're feeling. I think one thing that I really had to learn lately is a lot of times when we're talking to people and we say, oh, I understand how you're feeling, or if I were you, I would do this. But a lot of times if we haven't truly been in their shoes, we don't truly understand how they're feeling. And we can't say what we would or would not do because we've never experienced that situation. So really using your emotional intelligence and being empathetic with people, do not base it on how you think you would feel in their situation, but base it on just how are they feeling? How, if you were them, or, just seeing them and their feeling and recognizing it and respecting that and really trying to connect with them on that level and taking yourself and how you think you will handle it, taking yourself out of it. All right, so the analysis of empathy. So this quote was in my paper and that I found and I really liked. It says the nature of leadership is shifting. So it's taking another turn and is placing a greater emphasis on building and maintaining relationships. So it's not even just building them, but now keeping them and using that as a driving force to move your team forward. I think when we think of leadership, a lot of times we think of just simply being business minded. You feel like when you are a leader, you just have to strategically just think about, logistics and making sure you're meeting these numbers or making sure, you're following these procedures and all these other things. And you forget about the human nature side of leadership. And I think that's where leadership is headed. It's now taking its focus off of being business minded or all of the logistics into leadership and organization. But now it's putting it on the people and really understanding that you have people working for you, and these people are humans. They have feelings, they have thoughts, they have emotions, and it's not just a business-minded. By business-mindedness, you have to really take in consideration who these people are and focus on more of who they are rather than what they can do. And I think that helps us to define, people that we've worked for or worked under, our good bosses and our bad bosses. A lot of times our good bosses, we like them because they related to us. They saw us for who we are. They knew who Jasmine was. They knew what Jasmine liked. They were understanding how Jasmine was feeling. They just took the time to say, this is business and then this is us, and knowing how to distinguish the two and keep a good balance of that. It says, in order for leaders to gain the personal and practical benefits that come with building empathy, you must do two things. You have to avoid and abandon your toxic behaviors, and then replace those with those nourishing behaviors. And I think a lot of times we think, oh, I'm not toxic, because when we think of toxic behaviors, we think the worst of the worst. But I had to come to the realization that there are some toxic behaviors that I utilize in my relationships, both professional and personal relationships, that I really needed to consider and try to fix those, because I am being toxic in some situations, and then I wasn't as nourishing as I thought I was. And I'm going to give you a list of some examples of what nourishing and toxic behaviors look like. So over here on the lightning bolt side, those are my toxic behaviors. These are just some. They are not all. You have your consistent disagreement. If you're somebody who is constantly disagreeing with people, you're being toxic, and you're not leaving room for people to feel comfortable in sharing their ideas with you. And you're really putting off that sense of your ideas are not important, they're not relevant, they're not good, and we need to do what I think or someone else thinks. Idea killing. I feel like you can idea kill with your words and your looks. A lot of times I may not say, oh, that idea is bad, but I can show you, like, with my eyes or my mouth or my nose, or however I fix my face or turn my head or really slump over. And I can't do that. And I realize that I have done that sometimes, even like to my students. So you really have to be mindful of that. Really ridiculing people, your verbal and nonverbal put downs, self-seeking motives. And that's key to really realize, you can maybe put on this persona like you are very caring and nourishing, and you really care about other people, but deep inside you're doing things to put yourself ahead, and that's very deceitful, and you really have to keep that inner self in check. And I have found myself doing that, like, Jasmine, wait a second, you wouldn't want anybody to do that to you. It's not about being on top, it's not about being ahead, it's about being fair, being honest, and looking out for other people. Violating confidence, complaining, and losing temper. All of those are going to exit out your nourishing behaviors, and it's going to cause you not to be an empathetic person. And again, the goal is to be empathetic. And when these behaviors are present, you are leaving less and less room for being an empathetic leader. And then here are your nourishing behaviors. Positive praise. Praise, 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 praise. It goes a long way. We can all agree that when people compliment us and when they notice what we're doing and they give us good feedback, it boosts our confidence and it makes us feel good about ourselves. So make sure you're praising people and it's positive. Active listening is huge. You can listen both non-verbally or with your nonverbal cues. And, just really making sure that you're letting that person know that I care and I want to know what you're saying. And I'm really taking my time to give you intentional listening and give feedback. So make that eye contact, nod your head, give feedback, respond, and really make that person feel like in this moment, what you have to say and your thoughts and your feelings, they matter. Compromising, helping people, that's huge. Deferring your judgment, and I say deferring your judgment in your thoughts and your words. Just because you're not judging with your words doesn't mean that you're not judging in your mind, and that is something that I had to really keep in check too. I can't just automatically keep those judgmental thoughts because eventually they will come out, and it just teaches you to be open-minded. Being honest and giving genuine compliments, again, that goes to positive praise. Compliment people and be meaningful about it, because guess what? People know, and they know when people are genuine and when they're not. And people are vibe fillers. I know I am one. And then last, treating others as equal. Making sure you let people know that everything is on an equal playing ground and nobody is above another person. Alrighty, so the impact of empathy. So some research that I found a study where a group of researchers were studying the impact of empathy in business college. And they found out that people in leadership positions who lack empathy, it goes all the way back to their training in college. And they were saying, especially in the business field, there are many business programs that are not training their leaders to be empathetic. And Instead, they are putting into them behaviors that are very that shows narcissism, that lack a lot of empathy, and that is filtering into our business world. And they said that many leaders who lack empathy are more likely to adopt a mentality of unethical and narcissistic behavior that typically follows them into the professional careers, leading to the immoral organizational patterns that we have. And then it says that many business programs are focusing too much on the academic and social sets and too little on human or soft skills. So I think it should be an equal balance. And just like, teaching them about the business logistics, you also need to teach them about human and soft skills and how to relate to people. And then the last that was really interesting is that they have found that leaders who lack empathy have found to have traits of psychopathic behaviors. And they did a huge study on that and how many people who lack empathy have shown to be psychopathic, and how these behaviors can be very detrimental to organizations, and it can cause many organizations to fall. Let's see here. And last, here are 3 strategies that can help people build empathy. Being attentive, showing people that you're taking the time out of your bubble and putting it into theirs, and showing them that at this moment you are important, what you have to say is important, and I care about what you have to say. Showing appreciation, appreciating people, letting them know that they matter, letting them know that what they have to say, their thoughts, they matter and they are relevant and they are valued. And the last one is showing giving affirmation, affirming people, lifting them up, motivating them, giving them positive praise, and really letting them know that they are important and they are a person and they are appreciated. I'm not trying to go over my time, so this is all I have for the topic of empathy. Thank you.